Welcome to another edition of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Paget, and today I have with me Tiffany B from the Fitness Collective of Atlanta. Tiffany, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
Doing quite well. Thank you for being on with us, Tiffany. So let's jump right into it, Tiffany. Who is Tiffany B and what is the Fitness Collective of Atlanta? Am I saying that correctly?
Yes to all. And that's a lot to answer, but I am me.
Okay.
First of all, Tiffany B. They also call me Free Spirit Tiffany. I teach yoga. I'm a master trainer for booty yoga. I am a fascial stretch therapist. I've studied the Feldenkrais method, voila, joint balancing, Reiki, energy healing, channeling, etc., etc., etc. So I've been doing fitness for hmm, like 15 years. I
Okay.
used to be a dancer. And the Fitness Collective was born from me basically teaching 22 classes a week and still not being able to pay my bills. So I had to work in corporate and teach those classes, but I wanted to make a space or bring a space to where other brands could come together
Right.
and then we grow together. So it's like booth rent. You pay for the space
Uh-huh.
when you're using it. And then you just grow your people, you grow your tribe and you make your money so that your passion to help people can sustain you.
Good deal. Good deal. So do you rent the space or are you renting or own the space? How is that going?
So I rent the space. I am the overhead studio owner of the Fitness Collective, but I have a collection of instructors and body workers who all also have their own brands. So they're just under the umbrella, and everybody pays, how they're supposed to. And you can take weekly fitness classes. So we have like inclusive memberships where you can take a bunch of different classes: yoga, bar, dance fitness, boot camp, martial arts, and or you could do just the yoga membership with me, or just a bar membership with our bar instructor who's Fit and Pretty Fitness, or whatever. Like, it's segmented, and or you can get it together.
Okay. Cool. 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 And so, how long have you been practicing yoga?
Oh, since about 12 years.
Okay.
About 12 years. And I've been teaching since 2013.
Gotcha. So that's 12 years. It's 2020. So about 2008.
Yes, and that was the year my son was born. That's actually what I was doing prenatal yoga. So
Okay.
that's what started it all.
Okay. Give us a little background about that.
About prenatal yoga?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I was pregnant, and like I said, I had been a dancer and into every other kind of fitness format. And I was bored pregnant because people were saying, "Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that." And I was like, "All right, well, I'm going to do something." So I found a prenatal yoga class, and it was all about breathing and getting in touch with the baby and your thoughts and your feelings. And it was really, really good, and like preparing yourself for birth. So I wanted to do a no chemical birth, like no medicine. I wanted to do it all natural. I wanted to do it in water. So that was a really cool experience.
Okay. So did you have the baby at home or?
I didn't. I had him at Piedmont, and but I stayed in the water as long as possible at my house, and then we went to Piedmont,
Gotcha.
and I delivered him there.
My cousin, he stays out in Vegas. He just had his second child, him and his wife, and they delivered at home. I was like, I can't deal with that type of pressure on me. And
No, I mean, I chickened out. I had a doula, I had a midwife. I was ready. I was like, "Yep, we're gonna do this at home." And then at the last minute, literally the week before he came, I was like, "Let's just schedule a birthing room. I just a backup plan."
right. Okay. So you mentioned a couple different levels of yoga. You mentioned prenatal yoga, and you mentioned that you're a yoga master, and something. Just break down a couple of the different levels of yoga for me, real quick.
Okay, so I have done a 200-hour yoga teacher training and a 500, I mean, 300 hours, so now I'm 500. But I've taken and taught vinyasa, booty yoga, which is Buti, and that's an Indian Marathi word, which means the cure to something hidden or kept secret.
Okay.
So that I also teach comedic yoga. So getting back to our roots, and that's something I've recently fallen very deep in love with. I did a comedic yoga class outside for Juneteenth, and it was really beautiful. I think I'm going to transition to just teaching comedic for a minute because, it feels natural.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
there's a lot of different kinds of yoga that I haven't done, like Kundalini and Yoga Nidra, and there's a lot.
So what got you into comedic yoga?
um, so so many. It's a lot of levels. I just kept hearing yoga began in India and Asia and blah blah blah, and I was like, that doesn't really seem right, right? And so I just went on a quest of looking into other religions and looking into other parts of the world, and I came across comedic yoga, and it was talking about how yoga originated in Egypt, and I was like, that feels right. That makes perfect sense because basically that's where everything originated. Duh.
Right.
And so I had to take the training. And as he was, giving history, I even learned how the story of Horus very closely mirrors the story of Jesus.
Right.
And Cain and Abel is Seth and Osiris. So it's like, wow, that's crazy. And it feels true.
Gotcha.
Whereas the other things, I was just kind of like, seems regurgitated. It's what they want you to think.
Okay. Makes sense to me. So let me tell you a little bit about myself so I don't sound crazy just asking you something.
Yes.
My background, I started off studying athletic training when I first got into college. But I transitioned from a junior college to a 4-year college. And when I got to the 4-year college, they canceled the athletic training program. So I was kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere, switched over to kinesiotherapy. Uh, Long story short, I got introduced into strength and conditioning. Did an internship back again in like 2016 at USM, and they would bring in a yoga teacher for the football players on Sundays after the games. So one of the things of the program was that we had to do yoga. So, or we not do yoga, we had to program a fitness schedule or a workout program for the team. And I programmed that I wanted yoga on Sundays or whenever the day after the game. And one of the coaches, he challenged me on it. I was like, well, do you think just soft yoga is going to be good enough for these guys? So can you talk about the benefits of yoga and then the differences of yoga versus basic stretching?
Okay, sure. And you don't have to, all yoga is not created equal, first of all, but all yoga does touch on every single system of the body, from the respiratory system to the circulatory system, the nervous system, the skeletal muscular system. Everything is affected when you do yoga. But there's power yogas. So you have like there's power yoga, hot yoga. Hot yoga is when you're in a room that's almost 100, could be over 100 degrees. I don't feel like that's safe, but when you're at 100 degrees, you do these 26 postures 3 times, and each time you level up in intensity. Then you have like a vinyasa power flow, which kind of resembles. Does everybody remember P90X? Do
Yeah,
you remember when they had that yoga?
yeah,
That, I mean, it's a little not really yoga, but basically like that. You can add in some push-ups and some plyometrics and some like knee jumps and reverse burpees, and then get in a yoga pose and like hold it and breathe. And then there's the relaxing kind of yoga where you just stretch and focus on opening the hips, opening the breath, and getting your respiratory system to work so that your digestive system starts to work properly. And all of those things help you to be more of a power machine when you're playing sports or aging.
yeah.
My grandmother's 96 and she still does a form of yoga.
Okay, all right. Uh, what led you into fitness as a child to an adult?
Dance. So I was ballet, tap, jazz, modern, creative, um, liturgical dance, like all that, dance in the church, everything. Then I did cheerleading. Um, oh my God, on a dance team for college. And then after college, it was kind of like, well, And now what?
Where
So
school at?
so besides getting a job, I started teaching Zumba. I got certified in Zumba, did AFA, did personal training with ACE and AFA, and then I did chair, pole,
Mhm.
like literally boxing,
Right.
kickboxing, every freaking thing you could think of. I got certified, and I would try to teach it and just do it to stay healthy. I wanted to
Gotcha.
keep moving and be active. Yeah, because it's what I've always known.
Okay. All right. So we talked about the different levels of yoga. Uh, and we talked about yoga versus stretching. Can you go into what is your why? You said how long you've been doing it, but I want to know a little more of why does Tiffany have the Fitness Collective? Besides, I do want a little more of your background of working 20 classes a week because that is a heavy load. Also, what just made you you? So, what is your why?
So my family, unfortunately, kind of was riddled with diabetes on one side and then hypertension on the other side. And so all I've ever heard is you don't want to eat this, you don't want to do this, you don't want to get fat, you don't want to be like me, you don't want to get your toe cut off, like all that.
Right.
So it was like fear based at first because I was like, I just don't want to be sick. And I have no choice because it's hereditary, right? That's what is drilled into our mind. And that's also fake news. So just because someone else in your family has something, that doesn't mean that you're destined to get it or be it. How you choose to show up for yourself is going to be what makes the difference, and that is my why. Like I want to show people based on my journey of finding holistic alternative health care or health ways to be healthy that is possible. I'm nowhere near diabetic. I have no hypertension. I take no medicine, no Western medicine. You don't have to.
Yeah, and now that is definitely true though. Like you said, you'll have it's like the story of the black man or black person in America. Uh, Obesity, diabetes,
Yes.
hypertension, heart disease. Like you said, you'll hear about all of that, and it's like, man, dang, that's am I gonna make it to y'all age? Like, it is crazy. It is
Right.
crazy. But I'm glad you brought that up. I want to jump back a little bit. You said you danced in college. Where did you go to school
I started off at Mercer University,
at?
where I was doing like pharmacy and things like that. So there wasn't really a huge dance presence there. And as a freshman, when I came in 2001, I kind of got with some older girls and we made it a thing. All they had was a basketball team, and it wasn't a very good one.
Okay. 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 All right. So, what are your goals that you have for yourself and for your company?
Ooh, that's big. So I mentioned stretch therapy and energy healing that I do as well. So fascial stretch therapy, I want to grow that, and I want to reach people, and especially the youth. So
Mhm.
I've been working with a lot of youth athletes lately, and they have like the bodies of 80-year-old men. They can't bend, they can't like open their hips, like nothing. And it's so important if we could get them at that age to know what their stabilizing muscles are and to know that when they get up they need to stretch. And you can't just get on a track field and go and run without drinking some water, like simple things. So one of my biggest goals is to continue to work with the youth who are very active so that they can avoid injury in the future. So by using stretch therapy and yoga and, all the other alternative things that I have to offer.
Okay. All right. Austin has a couple questions for you. So, Austin, come on in.
Bring them.
Hey, how are you, Tiffany?
I'm doing
Uh,
well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. One of my family members, actually my dad, he has a problem with his back, so he's trying to figure out how to relieve pain in his L4 in his back and his spinal cord, and he's wondering how can that relate to yoga and how to fix that.
Okay. There's a few different ways. So can he touch his toes? Like
Can,
if he were to fold forward and go down, could he touch his toes?
yes.
Okay, good. All right. So even if you just were like, I'm gonna have to stand up and show you
Yeah.
real
All
quick.
right.
Okay. So even if he were to literally like take his chin to his chest and just fold all the way in and down and let his hands hang like this, his arms just hang, pick up
Mm-hmm.
the toes, keep every other part of the foot down, just pick up the toes, draw the chin to the chest, fold in. Soon as he feels it here in his back, he wants to stop and then just kind of go
Okay.
right and left. But the
Okay.
right and left is with the obliques, making sure that
All
he's
right.
not like swinging the arms, right? It's controlled here and here so that you strengthen the muscles that's around the lumbar spine so that they could be
Mm-hmm.
more supportive.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll give it back to Corey. All right.
Hey, I like that though. I like that. You mentioned. I want to make sure I'm saying. Is it booty yoga?
Fascial. Oh, booty yoga.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Going a little bit into that. You said it's from India, right?
So it's spelled Buti, and that means in Indian Marathi, the cure to something hidden or kept secret.
Gotcha.
But the creator or the owner is actually this really short, skinny Jewish lady, and she's really cute. But but it's one of those things where there's like Native American dance and some like African tribal dance. Like it was a whole shamanic experience that brought her into creating that. And so that's what drew me to it. But also what made me be like, that wasn't, like that didn't come from there.
Right. Exactly. I can see where you're going with that. My next question for you, Tiffany, is I almost lost my thoughts. So I'm gonna go to the DDP yoga. I'm a big wrestling fan, and DDP Diamond Dallas Page, he's a really big into yoga. Do you know anything about DDP yoga?
No, teach me something. I need to go look him up.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so
Is he a football player?
no, he's a wrestler. Do you know who wrestled in WCW back in the 90s? Self high five. I don't want to throw it up because his hand gesture is the same as the I don't want to throw it up and but
no, I only know. Oh, I just know like The Rock and Hulk Hogan and the Dallas. Wait, not Dallas Austin. That's
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That one.
Okay.
Okay, but cool. So tell me about this DDP.
Yeah, so DDP, he basically, like I said, he wrestled in the 90s, wrestled a little bit in the 2000s, and if anybody that knows anything about wrestling knows that there's a lot of tragedy in wrestling, a lot of drug addiction, overdoses, and stuff like that, murders, all kinds of crazy stuff. So he was like, man, I see my friend suffering, and he's been picking up yoga. So he invited a couple of his friends over to his house and was like, hey, man, I'm going to take you through this therapy with me. And he started doing yoga with them. And a lot of them have been doing better. It's been a lot of success stories with them.
Yeah.
And he,
I mean, it's a real thing. I think that more people should try yoga. And let me just say, I've had somebody to come in here and say, oh, no, I don't do yoga because that's praying to idol gods.
Right.
That's not a thing. Like whoever told Black people that totally lied. Don't listen to that. It's not true. It's just focus on your body, focus on your breath, focus on the way it feels in your muscles, and then move on. Nobody's, well, I don't chant. I don't do all that other extra stuff, It's really literally just getting your physical body to connect to your mind, and then therefore you enter a meditative state. So it's spiritual. Right. If anything, it should draw you closer to whoever you believe in as God.
Right. And it's crazy that you said that because I really didn't hear anything about it. I didn't know anything about, people think it's like devil worship or, idolatry or whatever. But my dad was telling me before my grandma passed, he was like, nah, she doesn't believe in yoga because, it's devil worship. And I was like, no, it's not. No. I don't know much about yoga, but I know it's not that. Okay.
Not.
Okay, but you mentioned fascial yoga, right? Can you go into
No,
that?
fascial stretch therapy.
Yes, fascial stretch therapy. Go
Mm-hmm.
into that a little bit.
So like you, when I was in college, I did also do kinesiology, and then I thought that I wanted to be a physical therapist. When I was bored at my pharmacy internship, I was like, nah, that's not gonna work. So I switched to physical therapy. But kinesiology and physical therapy didn't quite hit what I wanted. It seemed like no matter how you were injured or where the pain came from, if it was in your shoulder, you got the same corrective exercises, the end, done. I didn't like that. So fascial stretch therapy looks at the person as a whole. Like, what are you eating? Do you sleep? What's your stress level? Are you on medications? What's your range of motion in the socket before the injury? How did you get injured? Like so many things. And so it's assisted table stretching. So you lie down like you're gonna get a massage, except you're fully clothed. And then I like get into, I can't really explain it, but I just move the fascia. So it's
Fascia.
muscles. The fascia is that connective tissue that covers every single part
Yeah,
of the body.
right.
hmm And then it also separates the organs and tissues and muscles and bones into their pockets too. So when you're stuck anywhere, it may not be that you broke a bone or fractured something or pulled a muscle. It could literally be that your fascia is stuck. So you
Got
just got to like move it, and then using your stabilizing muscles. So like I was saying to Austin with the obliques, driving a side to side movement, something simple like that gets your synovial fluid moving.
hmm hmm Okay. We got a couple questions. I know we're short on time. I want to respect your time. Uh,
Okay.
how do men feel? Or are there many men that feel that they're losing their masculinity doing yoga?
I think at one point men did feel that way, just like when they were telling basketball players to take ballet.
Right.
But it's not to that extreme. So if anything, it helps them to actually honor the feminine energy that's in the room rather than be demasculated, if that
Got
makes sense. Because you can still be strong and stretch. As a matter of fact, it'll make you guys more healthy because you store a lot of trauma and stress in your shoulders and your hips, and you don't even realize it. Especially black men, like it's hard out here for y'all.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Uh, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I I didn't know all this about you going into this, and so it's enlightening, and I feel like you're very educated and you got a lot of knowledge to share. Uh, do you know anything about PNF stretching?
Absolutely. I use PNF in fascial stretch. So
That's
when we get, like, if we
it.
get somewhere and I'm like trying to get somebody to get their knee up, I'll be like, hey, press it against me and meet my force. And then we can breathe in, breathe out, and then move it through. I love PNF. It's like a quick way to get people to see a change in their range of motion.
Exactly. I use it. I was using it when I was coaching. I mean, I still coach, but especially when I first got to Jim Hill, and then when I was coaching in Biloxi, the greatest example to show somebody. My teacher showed me this when he first introduced us to it. Mr. Purvis. He laid a guy on the table. He said, "Lift your right leg up until you feel the tightness." And he lifted it up to about right here. And he was like, all right, so here's what I want you to do. Push against me. And like you said, held it for a couple of seconds. He said, relax, and went up. Do it again.
Yep.
And it was just the craziest thing. Man, that's so dope to me.
I love PNF. And when you do that, what that also does, it gets your muscles to activate real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you're ready to actually move, you can release and stretch. It helps to deepen the stretch.
Got you. Okay, so if I wanted to get into yoga, well, yes, if I wanted to get into yoga, how would I get in? If I wanted to be a yoga master, how would I do that?
Well, first you would need to take a yoga class. Go take a class first,
Right?
right? Make sure that you even want to do that. And then you want to find a 200-hour yoga teacher training. So those can be expensive. There's all kinds of like specialty weekend certifications that you can get. But if you're serious, you want to find a 200-hour, which is going to give you the history of yoga and then kind of like the what's and the whys of
Okay.
yoga.
Got Gotcha. All right. And before we get you out of here, Tiffany, I want you to drop all your social medias that you have.
Ooh, that's a lot. Okay, I'm just gonna stick with the Fitness Collective because you can find me everywhere else through that.
That works.
So on Instagram, it's at Fitness Collective _ ATL. Oh shoot. Facebook, The Fitness Collective ATL, and what else do I have? Oh, the website, www.fitnesscollectiveatl.com.
All right. That sounds good to me. It was a good interview, Tiffany, and I'm enjoying this. You like I said, you sound very educated. I know you
Oh,
are.
thank you.
I got some ideas I want to bounce off of you just to talk shop with you. So
Okay.
I appreciate you coming on with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. This has been another episode of For the Health of It, and I'm your host, Corian Padgett.